we are now in a precious metals bull market. Believe it or not, up to you. But more importantly, event coming up April 21st, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You really want to be there. Myself, Andy Hoffman, Andy Scheckman, the guys from Miles Franklin will be there, and it's going to be an amazing time. You'll get dinner. You get to ask questions. We won't leave until the last one is answered. My personal promise, you'll get to hang out, and we're just going to have a great evening. And if you can't make it to Fort Lauderdale, then do not be discouraged. Do not despair. We will be having a webcast, simultaneous webcast of the event, and you'll be able to ask questions and get your questions answered as well, although we might cut you off because right now we've got a few seats left. We got, I don't know how many more can be handled in the webcast, but quite a number. Got hundreds and hundreds of people here on the webcast. So make sure if you're going to come to Lauderdale, you sign up right away. Don't wait any longer. We've got a few seats left. I'm not just saying that to push the seats. This is a free event. It actually costs us less if you don't attend. So make sure you go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Menu on the top, you'll see Florida event. Click that, and that'll take you to the sign-up page. We really look forward to seeing you there. Andy, it's like right around the corner now. It seemed like months ago, and here we are. April 21st is coming up fast.
It's hard to believe this is our fourth one already. We did our first one on January 28th in Denver, and then we did one a month later in Minneapolis and a month later in Phoenix. And you know what? At every one of these events, the price of gold and silver have been higher than the preceding event. And right now, silver is higher than the last event, and gold is right where it was. And I think that, because the key of what you just started here is we are in a bull market. I think more and more people around the world are waking up each day right now, especially with the breakout in silver that I said was going to happen. All these people say, oh, the COTs tell you this, and the Fed's going to do this and this and this and this. And you know what? None of those things ever happen. But more importantly, the thing that people don't realize, and I understand completely because I have been part of the precious metal battering crew for the past 4 years, is that when you are in a bear market, everything goes against you. When the cartel wants to do things, they accomplish them. But in a bull market, which we are now in, which we've been in the rest of the world, in the other 180 currencies for the past 18 months or so, but which we have now been here in the United States for the past 6 months, in the very beginning of what's going to be an incredible multi-year run. The cartel, what they do doesn't work. And that's why the COTs don't matter anymore. I wrote a few weeks ago, the COTs don't matter. Part 2, I revisited something I'd written in the past. When everyone else was saying that the cartel is going to win and smash the price down, I said, not only is there no real correlation over any medium-term period of time, but in a bull market, they will get destroyed. I was also saying for weeks, I wrote that Admiral Sprott Writes Again article about 6 weeks ago. I said the Sprott Fund is going to do a silver offering now that it finally has its premium to net asset value, which we haven't seen in 5 years. We haven't seen an offering of this kind in 5 years because the cartel has been holding the prices down. And yet the institutional demand that I started talking about 2 months ago is so powerful now that they are overcoming the naked shorting of the cartel, and that enabled Eric Sprott to do his deal last Friday. And you know what? The price of silver, this is Friday morning. We're now at Tuesday afternoon. The price of silver was $15.05. It's $16.20 right now. And that's what a measly $75 million of physical buying can do. Wow. And again, people just are not looking at the reality. Do they not see the Huey Mining Index is up from 100 to 205? Do they not see the record inflows into the GLD, into the SLV? Do they not see the premiums on these closed-end funds going up? It's institutional demand coming in to join the already record retail demand and record central bank buying. This is going to be the beginning of the end of the cartel. Will it happen suddenly? Will it take a year or two? I don't know. But for all those people in the United States who have been in this bear market mode where we always lose, we are not in a bear market in precious metals in dollars anymore.
And I'm really happy to hear that. There were times when I was wondering, hey, can I be totally crazy and everyone else be sane, or what is going on here? I wouldn't say I really doubted myself. I just doubted the system, that it could really maintain this delusion, collective delusion, for all these years. And And then all of a sudden, hey, the wizard pops out from behind the curtain. And speaking of the wizard behind the curtain, what's going on, Andy, with the emergency meetings at the White House and the emergency Fed meeting that was unscheduled? Are we on the crux of something here?
Well, first of all, again, you say, well, was everyone right and I was wrong? No, there was no everyone. Most people don't even have financial investments anymore. They lost their shirt in either 2000 or 2008 or both. And given that we have the plunge in labor participation in U.S. home ownership rate and real wages and all these, I mean, basically the worst global economy in generations right now, people aren't sitting there making opinions about what the gold and silver bull market. You have a handful of players in the market that are trying to piggyback the central banks who are manipulating the markets. And most of what they do is just out of self-interest to pretend that they think that things are getting better. And the fact is they're losing too. I mean, I wrote Hedge Bombs 4 years ago about how hedge funds have been underperforming the market so abysmally, there's no reason for them to exist. And they've continued to get destroyed year after year after year, including this year and last year. So there's no group of people out there that don't believe in precious metals. As most people don't even care or understand them. It's just a war going on, the final monetary war to the death, with a handful of people trying to control the world and losing control of the world against a handful of people like us who have the means to protect ourselves and the instincts to seek out truth. So no, there was nothing wrong with you. And it turns out that you were right. And if you held fast to your positions, and particularly if you had physical, where it's much easier to hold fast to your positions, you survived this horror of the last 4 years, and you're ready to thrive in the coming years. I don't know what the world will look like, but financially we'll be doing much better. And as for the emergency meetings, yes, I wrote an article yesterday, emergency meetings with an exclamation point. And I was referring, I wrote an article years ago called Sunday Night Special, about all those meetings they had in 2008 and 9 where they meet over the weekend and then they announce Sunday night, oh, we're going to bail someone out, or we're going to cut interest rates and all this. And, we're starting to see more and more of those meetings going on. A perfect example is this oil meeting that's going to go on this current Sunday. They've got the price of oil to go from $25 to $42 based on hope of a production freeze at record levels. I mean, they're kidding, right? These current levels are the levels that are destroying the world, and demand is falling. So this is just your classic dead count bounce that's promulgated by the oil PPT. They're doing everything in their power to get prices higher because it's destroying the world's largest industry, and they'll fail at it because demand is going to continue to fall and supply is not going to fall no matter what they decide. But secret meetings like this one, you have Janet Yellen and the FOMC meeting, not just yesterday, but tomorrow and the next day about policy. And then Obama's met her yesterday afterward, no doubt. I think Peter Schiff, discussed it perfectly. As I said, yeah, they're not discussing the economy. They're saying, how can we pretend that the economy is okay? Because I said about the peddling fiction and then we got an election to win. How can we keep rates low and keep the markets higher, but pretend that we're doing so in a good economy, even though you said that the economy is good and you'd raise rates into it and not do it? I mean, that's what that meeting is about. And maybe there's something more behind it. Maybe someone is blowing up somewhere due to derivatives. Who knows? But the fact is, look, you had this other emergency meeting in Italy yesterday. They have 360 billion euros, or 20% of Italian GDP of non-performing loans in the banking system. So they got together with this last-ditch desperation effort. We need to create a bailout fund to ring-fence the bad loans. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. Someone has to pay for the bad loans. So they came out of this and said, we're all going to be forced to do so, so we're going to create a 5 billion euro bailout fund. Yeah, but you have 360 billion euros of impaired loans. You have more than 5 billions of already loans that are dead. So how is this going to help? It's like the FDIC having like a couple of $1 billion and there's trillions of dollars of losses. It's not going to help. I mean, the Italian bank stocks are still falling and they're going to continue to fall. The fact is, the holes in the dike, they're everywhere right now. And the emergency meetings, you're going to see more and more Sunday night meetings and even Saturday afternoon meetings. And everyone's trying to bail out somebody. And the scariest thing of all, and I'm sorry I'm rambling here, is, we talked about Dallas Fed President Richard Fisher, who left at the end of the year and then said, yeah, we put a cocaine and heroin into the market, and right now the Fed is a big giant weapon with no more ammunition. Well, you know what? Today, Wolfgang Schäuble, whatever his name is, the German finance minister, he came out today and said the ECB is destroying Europe and it has no more ammunition. It's like, okay, so if the guys who are doing the QE are telling you that they have nothing left, how much more can this go on where they can keep markets going up? And I don't think that they can do it much longer without hyperinflating them.
Yeah, well, I've given up trying to figure out timing or when it's going to happen. I'm much more focused on what's going to happen, because that is the important thing. If you know what's going to happen and you can hold out and you can plan your affairs accordingly, you're going to be okay. But if you're clueless about what's going to happen, then when it's going to happen is totally irrelevant. And that's what you really need to keep your eye on, is what's going to happen here. Is the die really cast? Is it just going to be financial Armageddon? And as much as I don't like to think about it, Andy, the answer is really very obvious.
And you know what? Again, I can't say enough. It's been financial Armageddon in much of the world, not some, much of the world in the last 2 years, especially these countries that are commodity dependent, which basically is more than half of all countries. I mean, more than probably, I would guess 3/4 of all the countries in the world. Their vast majority of their business comes from either tourism or commodity sales. Yeah. And when you have plunging commodities and currencies, both those businesses die on the vine. And plus, a lot of these are emerging market currencies that the only way they can borrow is with record low interest rates. And now interest rates have been starting to go up for the emerging markets. They're not going up for the bigger markets because of QE, but they're certainly not going down in the emerging markets. So you've had this giant economic morass for much of the world. I mean, when you see today that that the impeachment is going on, the impeachment process in Brazil, and you're seeing hyperinflation in Venezuela, and you're seeing all what's going on in Japan right now, and all different kind of places in the world, Greece, Italy, France, you name it, whether it's emerging market or it's a developed nation, you're talking about people have seen economic pain for a long time right now. The only reason we've seen less economic pain here in the States is because we have the reserve currency. We haven't seen our currency crash like everyone else. But we will in time, certainly against real items of value like gold and silver. But again, even here, I mean, we're talking about we have no GDP growth. We have the worst labor market that we've had
ever.
I mean, ever in terms of real wages, certainly
since the Great Depression, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are right now, and that's considered the best economy in the world. And believe me, that's why Obama is meeting with Janet Yellen, because even he's not dumb enough to not realize that that's what's going on as he tries to keep the Democrats in office through this election. So again, that pain that we're seeing around the world is not going to stop. It's going to get worse. And these final last-ditch efforts, like to push oil back up, are going to fail, just like everything else that the central banks and politicians have done.
Yep, agreed. And we're going to leave it at that. Don't forget the event. Just check out financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Right at the top menu, you'll be able to register for either the webinar or the live event. But again, not many seats left, so get ready. And Andy, looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a safe week ahead, and I'll see you and Andy Schechtman when you arrive on the 21st.
Absolutely.
All right, be well. And hey, by the way, find Andy's work over at milesfranklin.com. Subscribe to his daily missive like tens of thousands of you already do. And you'll also get his frequent audio blogs. Andy, be well.
You too.